saw happen to Demi Moore at the Oscars last night, it was bizarre. It was the movie replayed in front of the public and speeded up. She was brilliant in that movie. And she was the exact opposite of what she is standing here in this Armani Privé gown. She was fearless. Oh my God, everybody. Are we happy or are we sad? Are we thrilled that award season is over with or are we angry? I personally am a little bit of everything. But Diane Gilman, Fashion Thursdays, and this is all about a retreat from reality and a relief from reality. That's what the Oscars are. They're purely fantasy. As an older person, sometimes I feel like possibly the oldest female in America, packing in almost 80 years here, I remember when. I remember the golden age of Oscars and Hollywood. Now, I was born in 1945, the most packed year with the most watched and deserving movies was 1939. Why did people go and actually stand outside the Pantages Theater in LA waiting to see their stars? Well, Oscars actually started 10 years before in 1929. And that was the year when the Great Depression just crushed America. So where was the relief from reality? In a movie theater. And the movie theaters were so beautiful that today, honestly, most of that architecture is completely protected. But here's the other reason the Oscars were so attended, so listened to. And by the way, you couldn't really see the Oscars unless you were there at the theater because nobody had a television yet. Yeah, the average person did not get a TV until about 1952. So in 1939, we had Gone with the Wind, Wuthering Heights, The Wizard of Oz. I could go on, but here was the point. People read. America actually bought novels like Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind. And then everybody would read it. Millions of people would read it. And then they were dying to see their favorite characters from that novel come to life. And that is why these movies are so historic, so beautifully colored, so packed with incredible acting. Um, I'm not sure that I could really say that's happening today. The movies that make the most money are still from readers, but they're Marvel comics. That's how much our mentality in America has come down, and then those are adapted into movies. But, the age of Hollywood was when movies were a very exclusive form of entertainment. You didn't have social media. You didn't have smartphones. You didn't have television. You only had one way of seeing your dreams come true, and that was on a movie screen. And there was a whole group feeling. You could feel the mood of the audience around you. So I remember it. It was really, really powerful. Last night, person I wanted to win, Best Actress, Demi Moore, and the movie that I loved that she was in, an indie movie called The Substance. Both ignored. And we'll get to the irony of that. But what I do want to start out with is another movie that was totally overlooked. This movie, Wicked, was actually the most viewed movie in America of all the nominees, and that was only 23% of the American public went to see this movie. And why did they go to see Wicked? The Wizard of Oz, because it was something they could actually take kids to. So let's start with Cynthia Erivo. And there were two main dresses for her. And My cat, Mr. Fuzzy, wants to make a comment on this. So, when she was doing her duet from Wicked with Ariana Grande, she was wearing a Vivian Westwood dress from 1994. And by the way, let me give you a little heads up here. Not so much for the Oscars last night, but in general for the award season, boy, there were just a ton of retro dresses brought out of storage. And this was one of them. Now, my personal feeling, I love Cynthia Erivo. What a huge talent. What a singer. But I don't really love her in white. And I think with the lack of hair, her choice, and by the way, she looks good with no hair, but I think that a dress like this with a lot of flowers on the bodice and all kinds of draping. There were a lot of white dresses last night. I did not like one of them. I found it way too busy and didn't really think maybe if the awards were towards the end of May and it was more of a summer feel, I would have liked white better. But the other gown she wore, which is Louis Vuitton, call me crazy, I loved it. Now, that dark green velvet actually takes me back to a dress that Scarlett O'Hara wore in Gone with the Wind, big Oscar winner from 1939. That I first thought was black, but it is actually a dark green velvet. I loved the collar on it. And I loved the fact that Louis Vuitton truly captures architectural sculpture in gowns. How they made this thing and how they got all of that on top to stand up. And I'll tell you why I love the collar, which a lot of people did not. I loved it because she has no hair right now, her choice. And this kind of, I don't know, gave interest to neck up. And I thought it was a fascinating look. And I am quoting her because I love the tailoring of this when she said, dress to be noticed. Okay, this woman is not fooling around. She truly gets it. Yeah, it's red carpet, it's award season. You want to be seen, and you truly have to have the gravitas and, quite frankly, the balls to make it happen. Almost nobody could carry this dress off but her. And I say absolutely bravo, truly dramatic, larger than life. That whole dynamic of opening up the Oscars with the solo by Ariana Grande and then the duet together. Oh my God. That had to be the best opening ever. So here's the point. If you don't like attention and you don't like drama and you don't like glamour, don't go to the Oscars. Don't be part of it because that is what we as the American public demand from our stars. We want them to be bigger than us, bigger than life. We want to learn something from them. We want to admire their huge presence. That is definitely Cynthia Erivo. What a voice. I first saw her sing a solo of the 1960s. I think it was Oscar winning um, music, Alfie. Oh, and we will get to Ariana Grande's performance in what has to be one of the scariest songs to ever perform solo if you are on that red carpet for that evening. Because you're up against Judy Garland singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I must have re listened to that 40 times last night. I think, honestly, it's burned into my brain forever. So, I don't know how you feel about this dress. The white one from 1994, Vivian Westwood, although I loved Vivian Westwood and her whole philosophy of fashion, anti-fashion. It just looked like she was going to a bridal shower or something. Now I want to get to the winner, the surprise winner of the evening. It was an incredible performance. Mickey Madison, Nora. I really wanted my girl Demi Moore to win for many reasons, but partially, obviously, as an older girl, I wanted to see another older girl succeed, especially since my big success was in my 60s, but didn't happen that way. Does everybody remember Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? The reason why I remember that movie so vividly is because the Manson family, I was so sick of serial killers in LA that when the Manson murders happened and I had met a couple of the people who were taken out, including Jay Sebring. So I felt like I knew them. I left LA forever after that. Well, here we are. Mickey Madison, Nora. A story not for everybody. An indie movie that only made about $15 million. dollars. I think it showed in 2 or 3 theaters in all of America. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, about the Manson family. She plays the girl, this is terrible for me to say, but I found it totally hilarious, where Leonardo DiCaprio goes and gets his fire shooter and basically sets her on fire in his swimming pool. And she's fighting until the very, very end. And she's just sort of a stick figure of charcoal. Now, Mickey Madison is only 25. She did a phenomenal acting job, but sometimes I question the Academy and what their intentions are. So you like the idea of giving an Oscar to somebody who's very young. This is her first leading role in a film, indie film at that. And you're thinking, okay, this sets her up to have a huge, long career. I was hoping for Demi Moore, who's had a huge, long career and never truly been respected for her talent, and finally gets a chance to prove herself in the substance. And by the way, was exquisite for every single event on the red carpet this award season. But that comes a little later in this podcast. So Mickey Madison never purported to be a celebrity in advance, never said she was a glamour girl. This dress is Dior. It has a big bow in the middle. And she was hoping, honestly, to channel Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Breakfast at Tiffany's, Audrey Hepburn. Let me tell you what. If that's who you want to channel, you better be Gwyneth Paltrow. You better be somebody of such impeccable beauty and grace and the perfect body and the most amazing upper arms and the hair, and or else you're coming away, honestly, this looked like a prom dress marked down at Marshall's or TJ Maxx. I thought it was just okay at best. I thought the neckline was not really great for Mickey Madison. I do like pink and black together, but here's the problem. What are we on, our 3rd year of pink? Barbie pink. Oh my gosh, I love Barbie pink when it was all about it. I'm a little tired of pink now. And pink and black, I always think of my favorite theater candy when I went to movies as a kid, Good and Plenty's. Good and Plenty's, Good and Plenty's. Also, when you are up against the Armani Privé dress from Demi Moore and the Schiaparelli ruby slipper dress from Ariana Grande, and that dress had 190,000, you hear me right, crystals hand sewn into it. You look a little less than when you're coming out with no sparkle, no shine, no drama. Now, could it have been made better with hair? I think it could have. I'm saying this because I'm going to just say right up front, total transparency. I am not a natural beauty. I am not even a beauty. I'm somebody who can kind of put it together and I need a lot of guidance, and I way depend on my hair and my hair volume. And I like me a good drama. That's what I like. This dress was, I mean, kind of like a disappointing dress you would wear if you were being shown off to society and you came from a family of great wealth or high social position and you wanted to be very toned down and very proper. And here's another thing, and I know this sounds completely nuts, but I totally believe it's true. If you've got red as the major issue within almost every photo shoot here, it's a red carpet, red and pink, not completely and totally my favorite combination. So I want to wish Mickey Madison the most luck in the world. Sometimes it's great to shoot up when you're young, and if you're very, very special and very, very ambitious, you may stay there. But I say hang in there because you may get a second chance, but it may be a lot later in life. And in the meantime, I would also say work on your hair. Hair, to me, especially as somebody who lost my hair during breast cancer, is absolutely one of the greatest advantages visually any woman can have. So now I want to go to a little backstory, and we're going to go to the movie Emilia Perez. And we're going to bring out Zoe Zaldana. And I am sure that I am saying that incorrectly. And everybody killed her, excoriated her over this dress, which happens to be Saint Laurent. It doesn't just happen to be Saint Laurent. There's a whole backstory going on. So there is a European multi-brand, mega brand company called Kering. They've had a rough couple of years. Quiet luxury in general, completely collapsed in Asia, where they thought they were going to get their massive growth. It has not read well either in America or Europe. And it didn't really turn out the way they wanted it to. They decided to go into the movie business. Saint Laurent in particular. So Kering owns Burberry, Saint Laurent, Gucci. Saint Laurent said, let's do something new. Instead of seeing these movies and going to the production company and saying, we want to employ your star, Zoe Saldana, and have her wear nothing but Saint Laurent during the entire award season and beyond, and we'll do a whole campaign and blah, blah, blah. They said, let's cut out the production company and let's be the production company. So Saint Laurent is the first ever mega fashion brand that actually opened up its own production company in Hollywood and produced this movie. Everything's going great, and they get nominated for 15 awards, even though everybody I know who saw the movie did not like it. Everything's peachy. And they're going to have the most awards ever. And then, not only is the star, Carla Sofia Gascon, controversial because she is transgender, but on top of it all, they discover a whole series of electronic communications with Carla Sofia Gascon that are really, really offensive. Okay, well, now what are we going to do? The Oscar committee wasn't even going to allow her to come, not even. That's how offended they were. That's how controversial they found it. So who's left to represent the movie and the brand? Zoe Saldana. I love her. And I love her look. Who looks like this after 3 children? My God, woman. Unbelievable. And also was first Dominican to ever win an Oscar. I don't think she had altogether her say in the outfits Saint Laurent picked for her. This particular dress, oh, people just hated it. So on top of kind of hating the movie and certainly hating the star, now you've got the brand that she's got to wear for every appearance completely shredded. Now, for me, there were definitely parts of this dress I loved. Hey, so if you know me, you know I am a big believer that red light is the future of wellness and beauty. Mito Red Light is my new absolute favorite. It's like giving your cells a power boost. It's incredible. So, red light therapy helps support energy, skin health, and even reduces inflammation, all with the simple power of light. Red light, that is. I use mine every day and I can feel the difference. If you want to glow from the inside out, check out Mito Red Light because your cells feel energized and you feel unstoppable. Use my code below on mitoredlight.com for a discount and see why red light therapy is lighting the way to better aging. Mito Red Light. Power your cells, power your life. I like that straight across bodice, and I thought it was a touch of genius. And it was a recurring theme for the entire evening of wearing gloves, opera glove length. I loved the fact that the gloves matched the bodice. But below that looked like a series of mushrooms growing out of the dress. I liked the color of crimson. And I do think that went pretty well with the red carpet, but the shape of it definitely disturbing. Certainly didn't do her any good. And here's a brand that already got so many problems with this absolutely offensively controversial star, and that translating to the movie itself. The gown didn't do anybody any favors. And now I want to go, and I'm sure you do too, to Ariana Grande and what I think is one of the most beautiful dresses in the history of the Oscars. And it's going to be the next dress we see, but we're going to talk about this for a minute. This is the Glinda, Good Witch of the North dress. If you ever saw The Wizard of Oz, and it's been playing a lot leading up to the Oscars, and Billy Burke with that twinkly little voice coming down in the gorgeous bubble. Oh my God. What a beautiful, ethereal dress. And Ariana Grande is so great at carrying this off. I would have liked it a little bit better if maybe all of that netting in the skirt had not been beige, but had been a shade of the shell pink. But this is Schiaparelli, who also did the majority of Demi Moore's dresses for the season. And they are incredible at structured bodice and structured peplum. Look at this. I mean, seriously, I think it takes a lot of layers melted and glued together and mechanically shaped and finished off. But she looks like some kind of beautiful rose that's just coming out into bloom. This particular skirt, which is multi layers of netting, had over 250,000 twinkly mini crystals faceted, sewn into it. I mean, the feeling to me is Ariana Grande looks like she's going to get back in the bubble and just float away the way Billy Burke did in the original movie. I also love me a sweetheart neckline like that. And the other thing I absolutely love about this is she followed two themes. So they were very relevant back to The Wizard of Oz. This to me is the Glinda Good Witch of the North theme, and then we're going to come into what I think, honestly, is the most amazing dress I've ever seen. Oh, yeah. Come on. First of all, I thought it was the best opening to an Oscar ceremony I've ever witnessed. Second of all, how nervous would you be? Ask yourself this question. You're in a dress already where you can barely breathe because that bodice is so structured and so fitted. And on top of it all, you're trying to do a better job than Judy Garland from 1939 with a theme song, an identification song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And that is the Schiaparelli ruby slippers dress. And to the back, it actually has a ruby slipper, yeah, coming halfway out of it. Not only did she do an extraordinary job of getting dressed, I want to say that Schiaparelli has this thing going of the fitted underskirt. This one is, I don't know how many ruby crystals and deep burgundy red sequins, but they're masters at doing organza overskirts, which is all the layers that go to the full skirt around it. And they did the same thing, and we'll show you as closing to this podcast the various Schiaparelli dresses that Demi Moore wore for the season. And she had a gold organza dress. It was great. But let's get back to this. I've been in fashion for 60 years. Sometimes you start to feel like you've seen it all. When it comes to pure beauty and precision of design, this is by far the all time winner. I'm going to say this makes, and I'm giving out my awards for fashion for the Oscar nights, Schiaparelli as best dress and best brand. You can't get better than this. All that sparkle in the sheath dress, and then the myriad of organza overlayers and the richness of the color and the way that she stood there alone on that stage with the rainbow lights coming down on her and sang that song. I could listen to it another 400 times. I just kept listening to it and thinking that is the most masterful pairing of a song with a message to a fashion with a message to the birth of a new icon, Ariana Grande. Wow, this girl really has a voice, and all of her phrasing of the song and all of the playback of the song and the history of 1939, the pinnacle of the golden era of Hollywood. This dress just says it all, and it could not have been worn better or more perfectly than Ariana Grande. I am telling it like it is. Just breathtakingly beautiful. And the reason why so many people said, oh, the Oscars, they're always so great. This was the opening act. Yeah, I don't know how you top that. I don't know if you even want to try. I want to say underplayed in terms of singing it. That's what they always said about Judy Garland. I think she was only 16 when she sang that song in the movie. And she had a huge voice box, and Judy Garland could have belted it out, but she went and really underplayed the song and kind of extended the sweetness and the emotion of it. Well, Ariana Grande in this dress, this exquisite Schiaparelli dress, she gave it her own twist. And it was modern. It held a ton of emotion, and the whole thing altogether, I say, wow, bravo. And Schiaparelli, which is designed at this point by an American designer. Schiaparelli is a very interesting story, and just as another little bit of backstory, Schiaparelli was born in Italy to nobility, but led kind of a quiet life and sort of wound up deserted by the family. But around 1920, she went to Paris, and there were exactly two female couture designers. So there's my balloons. Herself, Elsa Schiaparelli, and Coco Chanel. Schiaparelli took a very unique attitude. She bonded herself to great artists like Salvador Dali, Picasso, Miro, and she was able to get permission to take elements of their most famous paintings and do a whole thing of embellishment with hidden messages in her gowns. She ran the company until the beginning of the 1950s, when we started to get into the whole street revolution and the youth quake, and then she shut it down. I believe she lived until 1971, 1972. But there isn't a total bunch of what was her message, which was taking fine art and making it into refined but kind of shocking hidden message clothing. But I'll tell you what, this gown, Schiaparelli must be very proud if she's looking down on this. And I say to this designer, wow, bravo. It probably could have been any label. He just wound up getting contracted by Schiaparelli, and it is made out of Italy and considered haute couture. Hands clapping, hat off to you, sir. This is the epitome of old Hollywood glamour, new Hollywood glamour, haute couture, and ultimately taking the female form and celebrating the beauty of. And now we're going to end with what makes me a little bit sad, which is Demi Moore. And let me explain. Oh, come on. Seriously? At 63 years old? Give me a break, people. She should have gotten an award just for that. This is my other choice as red carpet best brand of the season. So it holds the number one spot along with Schiaparelli. It is Armani Privé. I call it the white diamond dress. Look at the workmanship around the hip line, going up to the waistline, and who better to wear it and make it her own than Demi Moore. The Schiaparelli dress she wore at the Golden Globes, which was gold organza, and all the layers were sort of melted together and then wired to have this three-dimensional architectural bodice. Oh, mind-blowing. She then wore a black Schiaparelli that actually had the organza molded and melted and twisted into a sculpture at the middle of a sweetheart bodice. Incredible. You're talking about a 63-year-old woman. Oh, yeah, that had three children. And for that alone, there should have been an award. Armani Privé is incredible. And they somehow have a perfect balance of being slightly to the back of it all, and at the same time, so I'm not afraid of glamour. I'm not afraid of attention. I just cannot give it enough praise. And that was an I am a winner dress. A dress like this has got to weigh a good 25, 30 pounds. You just can't have that much sparkle and hand applied embellishment going on without the weight of it being truly the equivalent of a sculpture, which is what it is. So I want to say that I love the movie The Substance. And in the end, the movie truly proves itself, because the movie is about something I talk about all the time, which is the marginalization of the older woman in Hollywood fashion and beauty, and the fact that you age out and everyone expects you to just be quiet and leave. And Demi Moore, I believe, deserved the Oscar last night. The Substance is a fascinating movie. In fact, what happened instead was the Oscar committee chose someone less than half her age, almost 1/3 of her age, to win Best Actress, hoping that that will set her up for a long future. When here's Demi Moore, who gives a speech at the Golden Globes and talks about for her entire career, she always felt less than, not enough of, and she was finally getting a chance to shine at 62, 63 years old. And honestly, oh, yeah, look at that. It's Schiaparelli. The movement on it is beautiful. It is a million layers of silk organza with metallic thread running through it and silk satin, but a heavy Duchess satin. They treat Schiaparelli organza as a sculptural fabric. I just think they are fashion inventors. I give my hats off to Schiaparelli. They came out of nowhere this season, and I think they outshone Saint Laurent, outshone Chanel, outshone Dior, which are all much more established names, much more familiar, much better funded. And I also would like to give a tremendous amount of credit to Demi Moore's. I want to say he's almost a muse maker. He certainly is a top stylist, and he used to be right hand to Rachel Zoe, then went out on his own in 2011. Brad Goreski. Oh, what an incredible job this guy did. There we go. In positioning Demi Moore as elder fashion goddess, as old Hollywood reinvented, as a level of glamour that's deserving to have an award created all on its own, just for her. I know what it takes at almost 80 to keep the inner core of yourself alive and take what you were in your youth and somehow blend it seamlessly into what you're capable of as a 63-year-old like Demi Moore or a 79-year-old like me. And let me just say, it ain't easy. And you really, really need to work it. And I don't have a stylist, but Demi Moore does. And Brad Goreski is brilliant and relentless at making the whole look come together and be right. And I finish by saying I also love the movie The Substance, her Oscar dress, which was worthy of any huge, enduring star in Hollywood, like Jean Harlow, Marilyn Monroe. This reminds me a lot of the dress that Marilyn Monroe wore when she sang Happy Birthday for JFK at his birthday party. To be 63 years old and look like that, and be brave enough with the flaws that age and the years piling on bring to you, and go out in front of the world and say, yeah, hell yeah, this is me. Bravo, bravo, bravo. The substance. But it is so true. You are just flagellated as an aging female in Hollywood. And the premise of the movie is she's Elizabeth Sparkle. She has her own star on the Walkway of Stars on Hollywood Boulevard, but she's aged out. She's a fitness expert star, and somebody offers her, an anonymous person says, I've got a way to go back in time, and it's called The Substance. But you've got to share your space. You've got to be fair. Both your younger self gets 1 week, and your current self, your older self, gets 1 week. And if the two of you cross, or one of you starts to dominate the other in terms of time spent as It's not going to be good. And guess what? It's not good. But what I saw happen to Demi Moore at the Oscars last night, I was bizarre. It was the movie replayed in front of the public and speeded up. She was brilliant in that movie. And she was the exact opposite of what she is standing here in this Armani Privé gown. She was fearless. She actually shaved her head for the movie, but she played it to the max. And I know, because I grew up in Beverly Hills and Hollywood, one thing I always thought to myself, I am not going to live here the rest of my life. It is too cruel to aging women. So, Demi, I am one of your biggest fans. You are a true star. You are the essence of what Hollywood loves and should be, a purveyor of glamour, a purveyor of beauty. And you are also exactly what Hollywood and the Oscars should be, a relief from reality. Well, thanks for listening to me. I hope you like some of my backstories.
Thank you so much for listening to Too Young to Be Old podcast. The episode may be over, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Diane Gilman, or visit our website, thedianegilman.com. If you like the show, leave us a rating or a review and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And until then, don't forget, age is just a number. Together, we'll prove that we are all too young to be old.